I'm Louis Hobson, and this is Director's Chair at Festival Central here at the Calgary International Film Festival. And no, you're not seeing double. This is Logan and Noah Miller, the twin filmmakers who've brought us Touching Home, which plays tonight at the Globe at 9:30. And it's following Appaloosa for a very specific reason. Right, gang? Why?
Right. Ed Harris double feature. Yeah, it's Ed Harris double feature.
It's an Ed Harris double feature. Why did you choose Ed Harris? Why did you want Ed Harris to play the father?
Oh, he was ever since we were little kids, he always reminded us of our father, you know, whether you're going to see The Right Stuff or you know, his other movies. It was just one of those connections that you know, it's just someone that reminded us of our father. But go. Jump in.
Well, I think he has this sort of everyman quality, and there was also a physical resemblance as well.
Once we were able to isolate Ed in the alley, and it was just us three, he started smoking a cigarette and started watching. He said, "Wow, this looks beautiful. Looks like you guys know what you're doing." And of course, we were like, "Yeah, sure."
Yeah, of course, absolutely,
yeah, absolutely, yeah. Even though we didn't, you know. And it was just under 2 minutes long, and it was all baseball. There was no scenes. It was just more of an atmospheric, just with Nick Drake's peak.
We're showing him that you have the skill to bring that dream.
Yes,
absolutely. And he understood that. Yeah,
and he understood that. And then
so afterward we gave him the script and he read it.
And we talked baseball. There was
sort of this common interest of baseball. When Ed was younger, he had aspired to become a professional baseball player, and when that didn't work out, he went into acting. So
and today I have a very special guest, Cam Christensen, who twice in a row now has won the Alberta Short Film Competition. Last year with I Have Seen the Future, and this year with The Real Place.
Bonnie Thompson and David Christian from the NFB contacted me, and I've been you know, always wanting to work with the NFB, you know, for years. I grew up watching NFB films, and I'm aware of their, you know, illustrious history. They've, I think, won more Academy Awards than probably any public institution in the world. So just a fantastic thing. You know, as someone who does animation, it's kind of the place to go. So, yeah, when they called, I was just thrilled to be involved.
Do you have a name for your style? Because it is a very distinct style of animation.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the name would be. Some people have said things like it's 2D, 3D, or, you know, I think that's probably a good description. It's kind of a mixture of illustration and 3D animation. Yeah, I've often kind of, you know, I studied painting originally. I went to Alberta College of Art. And so some of my background, you know, even though I've done a lot of work with video and sort of conventional filmmaking type scenarios, you know, where a lot of my interests and passions come from is painting and drawing. And so I think there's, I tend to sort of draw from those experiences more than, you know, sort of standard straight up stuff. So it's kind of a hybrid. Well, and in this case, I mean, they said, well, you know, we want to celebrate John's life. And then, you know, you learn about his life, and he's so accomplished, and he's, you know, he's done so much. I mean, how, you know, in 5 minutes, it's absolutely, it's impossible. So we didn't try, you know, like we tried to just capture his essence, you know what I mean?
The film is actually the third in a trilogy of short films, and the other two were actually fortunate enough to have been chosen for the Best of Alberta Shorts the last 2 years at Calgary. So they're all adapted from stories out of a Giller Prize shortlisted book, Kilter 55 Fictions, which was published by Turnstone Press out of Winnipeg in 2003. Yeah, I can't take credit for the brilliant stories, but I adapted the first two, Perfection of the Moment and What You're Ready For, myself. And John, the author, acted kind of as a consultant. And then John and I wrote this script together from the story of the same name. John and I, the script is actually really true to the story, I think. We changed a few things. I can probably say this here. The reference to the navel, which is pretty subtle. And, you know, that's her in her book, and he kind of is scratching himself and then notices it in the bathroom mirror. But that was actually nipple. It was a reference to nipple.
Oh, okay.
So we changed that because I couldn't work with it visually the same way I could work with navel.
Well, but you know what?
So that's one
that
thing.
works so nicely because it's that whole idea of navel gazing, which they're both doing.
Yeah.
Which
for
they're
sure.
both doing. So, okay.
So John and I threw that back and forth
Well,
and thought, how can we make this work? And that's what we went to. But
And how difficult is it as a short film maker to get those films out, to have them be seen?
I think with any film, it's difficult. I applaud anybody who is making films because it's not an easy thing. It's filmmaking is a collaborative art. And that said, with the technology these days, you can go get an HD video camera and go out and shoot something all by yourself. You know, you can do the narration, you can cut it together in Final Cut, and you can do it yourself. But I think to do the kind of films that I like to do, and certainly what you were talking about before, I mean, the elements that you need is, obviously you need a great script, but you also need a great cast. I love working with actors, and unfortunately, you know, I would love to be able to cast more in Calgary, but the problem is we have a lot of great actors who stay here, but many also move to Toronto, move to Los Angeles, move to Vancouver, and so that's where you end up getting these actors to come back and do these little short films. But that in itself is quite an expensive venture.